Well, hello there, everyone. How you doing this Super Sunday? It's April the 2nd, year 2023. Yep, it's quarter 2 now. Anyway, I'm going to talk to you today about two alternative investments, and they are mineral rights acreage and oil drilling. Okay, and remember, I am Mazske Finance, coming to you from South Florida. I'm not a CPA, not a financial advisor, not an attorney. I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor. What I am is a little guy, retired Navy Reserves. I was an E7, which is a chief petty officer, but when I retired, I do not get a pension until I'm age 60 from that. I am also a retired police officer. I did 20 years to the day, basically, and I am drawing a pension on that now. I also live off my investments because my mortgage on this house is approximately $1,000 more than my police pension is. So if I only had my police pension, trust me, I would not be living here. I have rental property, and I have a few stocks, and I have mineral rights acreage, and I have oil drilling. Okay? I'm going to talk to you about my experiences owning both mineral rights acreage and my oil drilling investment. Okay? That's just a cup of water. I already have my cup of coffee and my cup of green tea, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so starting off with, back in where was I living? It was 2020? Yes, 2020. I guess I had opened up a self-directed IRA. Excuse me. Got a frog in my throat, don't I? And I don't edit, so you experience that. Sorry about that. So anyway, I had opened up self-directed IRA through a company called Quest Trust. And they had, this was during COVID, and they have something they call QuestCon, where it was I think it was over 2 days, and they had a variety of speakers lined up with potential investments for your self-directed IRA. Normally it used to be, I guess, in person in Texas, I believe. Don't hold me to that. And it cost money. Okay, when I attended, I was given a free ticket, so it didn't cost me anything, and it was all virtual via Zoom. Okay, during the course of, I think it was 2 days. During the course of those 2 days, I didn't watch it all live. I watched some after the fact. One of the speakers was Troy Eckerd with Eckerd Land and Acquisition. Okay, so I heard from Troy. In that talk, Troy gave his phone number out. Okay, so I don't remember if it was that day or soon after. I remember it was probably soon after. I called Troy and I talked to him about, I was intrigued by his talk and I was interested in potentially investing in mineral rights acreage. He told me he would put me in touch with a lady named Amanda. She would be my wealth manager. And so Amanda called me. I can't remember if it was that day. I remember I was cutting my grass. I was push mowing. I had a big yard, acre and a third, big hill in the backyard. And for the last 3 years or so that I lived there, I push mowed that entire yard. Okay, I'd get in like 20,000 steps by push mowing that yard. So then Amanda called me, and one thing I found out, I didn't realize this, or I don't know exactly what I knew back then, but I found out you had to be accredited. Which means you have to have a high enough income to qualify, or a high enough net worth. The net worth is $1 million net worth, not counting your personal residence. Okay. At that time, I was, I believe, $900 and some thousand net worth, not counting my personal residence. And seems like that was like October or November, somewhere in that time frame of 2020. By December of 2020, I had become accredited. I had bought more real estate. I had completed cashback refinances and picked up cash. And I had a net worth, not counting my personal residence, of $1 million. Okay? So I contacted Quest Trust. I contacted Amanda, and I had decided to make my first purchase of mineral rights acreage in my self-directed IRA. I had some funds in there. I had enough. They had a minimum investment at that time of $25,000. Okay, so I sold stocks. I owned stocks in a taxable account, No, I'm sorry. I own stocks in my Roth. Yeah, it might have been in my taxable account. I was still working at that time. No, it was in my Roth. It was a traditional. It was something. I transferred the money. However, I did it. I transferred the money to my Roth at Quest for my self-directed IRA. Okay, and for that first investment, they told me about 3 potential investments, and I chose one of them because they told me I liked how it was designed. This is for my IRA. I was like 52ish, 53ish at the time. And they said this package would be slow going in the beginning and would pick up as time goes on. And the overall return over a 5-year period should be comparable to all the other packages, but it would be heavily loaded at near the end, where I would get more revenue at the end versus in the beginning. Okay, so I made an investment in that. It was my first investment into mineral rights. I put in $25,000. The acreage was cheap. It was like $6,750 because it was a long-term play. It was cheaper than most of the other ones. And I got a total of 3.7037 acres, okay, into that Roth IRA. Around about that same general time period, I had called Quest. Quest could not give you direct investment advice. They can provide you education, okay? That's what self-directed IRAs can do. They can't tell you, oh, invest in this rental property. They will educate you about investing in rental property or investing in such and such. So I called my contact at Quest. I told him I was making this investment into mineral rights acreage, and he told me they've had a speaker in the past he said I might be interested in. Excuse me. He told me his name was J.R. Young, and he was the the CEO of King Operating Corporation. Okay. He said if you call them up, they will send you a copy of his book. And I used to have the book up here. And it was dealing with his new way of investing in oil. Okay. So I called them up. I got a call back and I gave them my address and whatnot, and they sent me an autographed copy of the book. In the book, Jay says that he was skiing with a friend one day, riding a chairlift up the mountain. And he asked his friend, he's like, explain to me how you were so successful in building up your real estate portfolio, because he was investing in apartment complexes. And the guy told him he would buy properties undervalued, buy them, fix them up, and then they'd be worth a lot more, they would rent for a lot more, and then he may sell them after a couple of years. Okay, so he'd buy them cheap, fix them up, get the rental income coming in, and then sell them after 3 to 5 years. Okay, and Jay said he started thinking about this, and he's like, that's a great way to do things. Oil drilling had always historically been go out, drill a hole. You need money to drill that hole. It might be $5 million back then, or $1 million back in the day. And you might drill that hole and it was dry. And if you're the guy behind all this and you got to tell your investors, hey, you just gave me that money and you're not getting anything back, that would hurt. That'd be hard to do, both from the guy behind the drilling and the people doing the investing. They might be like, oh, I'm never investing in oil again. But if they hit oil, they might get a really good return. Okay? As years went on, technology started changing. They got better at drilling, they got better at looking and finding oil down there. But drilling a vertical hole, even now, is not a guaranteed you will hit oil. They pretty much know if they will or won't, and if they won't do it. But it's not a 100% guarantee. But nowadays, what they typically do is drill straight down and drill over. Okay? So Jay told me, or in the book he explained it, that's how he told me, that their plan was to buy get a lot of land under their control. They leased the land. They would buy or lease land that had vintage oil wells on them, old oil wells. Old oil wells can keep pumping for 25, 50, 75 years. Okay, depends on the well. They just keep pumping. So when you have a vintage well, over time there's a decline curve in oil. The production amount, when you first drill the hole, it takes a little bit. You got to frack it, you got to clean it out and get it going. But then it shoots up. You might have seen in old movies, oil shooting out of the ground. Okay, but the revenue shoots up, and then it starts, for several months it will be kind of high, and it's a slow decline. And then it will just slowly start going down. And after a year, 18 months, maybe 2 years, somewhere in there, they all have a predictable leveling off of their revenue, okay? And which is going to be higher than what you were getting with the vintage wells that were in the package, okay? So what their plan was to drill multiple wells over this big piece of land and sell them off over time. That way, when they sell them off, while they're drilling them, while they're pumping, you get your monthly revenue coming in. And then periodically, they would sell part of the land off, part of the wells. And their goal was to get all the investors all their money back. 100% of the money you put in, you get it all back. Then they're drilling, meanwhile, they're drilling wells in a different section of land that they already were leasing. Do the same thing. And the package, when I made an investment with them, I made an initial investment of, again, $25,000 back then, okay? I didn't really know anything about them. I know more about them now, okay? So as time went on, I was in late 2020, December of 2020, I think. During 2021, during the course of that year, those 12 months, I kept buying mineral rights and I added to my oil drilling investment. Now we are in 2023, okay? I've learned a lot more about oil drilling and mineral rights acreage than I ever have known, okay? So with the two investments, oil drilling, mineral rights acreage. Let me explain mineral rights acreage to you. Mineral rights acreage, you are buying the rights to what's under the land, okay, for the minerals, specifically oil and gas, okay? You're buying those rights. You own them. There's a deed recorded that you own an acre, 2 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, whatever you own, okay? You don't own the surface, you own what's under it, okay? The main state they buy in is Oklahoma. They also do some in Texas. They do mineral rights there, but they do in different states, but the main state Eckerd is involved in is Oklahoma. And when they have a package they offer, it's something like, I'll get my numbers wrong, but it's something like 2 square miles. 1 square mile, put it together. The acreage is, I think, 640 acres per section, so 1,280 acres for 2 sections. If I get a number wrong, I'm not an oil expert. Don't hold it against me, okay? But it's pretty close. Okay, 2 acres or 2 sections like that. It's like 1,280 acres. So when they offer a package out, they may put it out and say we have X number of acres available. 250 acres, 127 acres, 472 acres, 2,000 acres, whatever is available. And they determine a price per acre, okay? Now what happens is, in that section, that 1,280 acres, okay, there are oil companies, operators, Continental, Devon, it won't be Exxon, but it's big companies that are drilling. And they may, as I explained, they may drill down 1 mile and out 2 miles, okay? So when they're drilling, think about that. If you own 1 acre, they may drill right on your land and then go over, and now they're on the next acreage over there. But they typically will line up oil well, drill rig, move it here, drill rig, move it here, drill rig, and they might drill, as an example, 4 wells. They go down, they go out. If they're successful, they may, behind these 4 wells, don't move it back, put the drill rigs there, go in the opposite direction, down and out. Now you got 8 wells, okay? They may go out on the sides, they may go diagonal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's different ways they can drill. So over 1,280 acres, over time, there could be a lot of wells that are drilled. There could be vintage wells that are already in place, okay? When you own in that section, at 1,280 acres, it doesn't matter which acre you own. It's all like a piece of the pie. As long as they have minerals coming out, oil, natural gas, liquid natural gas, okay? As long as they have minerals coming out, you get your pro rata share. If you own 1 acre, you divide it by the section, I guess, 1,280 acres, okay? If you own 2 acres, you own 3 acres, whatever it is, it's a percentage. It doesn't matter what section the oil revenue comes out. You get your income, okay? So with that being said, You may or may not understand it completely. Ask me questions below. If I can help answer you, I will. Okay. So between these two investments, with the oil drilling, in my humble opinion, is riskier because now we have one company that's doing the oil drilling. Okay. If something happens, it's riskier because it's one company. Okay. But potentially the revenue, you're getting a bigger piece of the pie. There's not as many investors involved with it. You're getting a bigger piece of the pie. So if they get some really good wells, your returns can shoot up. If they can't, that's your monthly return. If they shoot up, that means there should be interest from the big wigs out there, the Exxons, the big companies. And I say Exxon because everybody knows Exxon, but they may not be the company. There's a whole bunch of different companies out there, including pension funds and state retirement systems and stuff like that. They will buy stuff like this, okay? Because it's guaranteed income for them. But once they get the wells drilled, fracked, and going, we'll get the monthly return, and they will then sell it, okay? That's their plan. They have sold off one parcel, like small, very small, like 5 acres, okay? And we all got a bigger chunk of money. We didn't get our money back from the investment, but we got a bigger chunk of money for that month, okay? So that plan is still playing out, okay? It's got a little delay, supply chain issues, all that kind of stuff. It got a little delay, but it's still progressing. I fully expect this year, 2023, for my oil drilling revenue to really start going up over, hopefully starting this month, okay? In the mineral rights acreage, similar but different. I have bought a variety of packages. Okay, that's what they recommend doing because every package it's different. It's similar, but it's different. You again buy 1 acre, 2 acres, whatever, how many acres. But Oklahoma's big. It's a lot of land out there for oil drilling. And they have different names for the packages. And it's like buying a mutual fund of oil drilling. Okay. They have different prices, depends on what the expectations are. Some parts of the state, the amount of oil that comes out is richer or there's more of a quantity than other parts, okay? The price will vary. The price for them to purchase mineral rights acreage, because they purchase a bunch, they package it up, and it may be split up. It may be 50 acres up here, 100 acres over there, so many acres down here, all going into one package, okay? And when you make a purchase into different ones, now you're getting diversified. Some of those wells may be more natural gas, some of them may be more oil. Every well has both in them, but they might be predominantly oil or predominantly natural gas, okay? Or just 50-50 combination or 60-40, whatever it may be, okay? So between these two investments, let me scroll over, all right? I started them both about the same time. With the mineral rights, I've been adding, at first, lots of time in between, and then it's picked up its frequency over the past 12 months or so, okay? The way they calculate returns, it's different than stocks, it's different than real estate. Here's the pros and cons compared to stocks and real estate. Sometimes with stocks, the whole market just crashes. You've experienced it perhaps. With real estate, at times, you got to do renovations and rehabs, and you got tenants you got to evict, and your money can go up, it can go down, because things happen with property, okay? But you build wealth. I've said many times, the quickest way to build wealth is through rental property, okay? Now, with both of these investments, once you make the investment, no tenant ever stops paying rent, because the oil drilling companies are your tenants, basically. They're renting, they're paying you rights to drill on that land you own, the rights you own, okay? There's no expenses. There's no cash call. They don't ask for money. You just get revenue in. It might be small, it might grow larger. If the oil drilling adventure is successful, it might spike up. I might get all of my money back end of this year or by next year, maybe. But it'll still keep going. Okay. As they sell chunks off, my monthly revenue might drop. Then they drill more wells and it goes up, and hopefully they'll sell that. With the mineral rights, I may hold some of these until I die. I may sell some of these in 5 years. Okay. Troy Eckert says his goal, if he ever sells a package, is to get a price that's at least double what he paid to buy it. So if I bought a mineral right, an acreage, remember I said that first one I bought, my IRA was $6,750 an acre. That was my cheapest one by far. Ever since then, they've cost me $14,250, $14,000, $10,750, $17,500, $12,000, $13,500, so on and so on. The cheapest one was $10,750. The most expensive one was at $17,500. And a lot of ones in between, $13,000, $14,000, $15,250, $13,500, just so on and so on. Okay. So if he decides to sell, if he sells every package that he offers, the Eckert Land and Acquisition keeps usually 10% of that package for themselves, for the company. Okay. Troy has said in videos, if he decides to sell, he will always keep at minimum an acre or something out of each package, if not more, because he just holds on to it. Okay. But if he decides to sell, he'll put it out to all the investors. Hey, we're selling this. We recommend selling this package, but we as the investors, we own it. He can't make us sell it. If we want to keep it, okay, we'll keep it. He will lay out his reasons he's recommending to sell it. Maybe we still want to keep it. Maybe we want to sell it. If he sells it, his goal is to at least get a 2x return, if not a 3x return or higher. Okay? And then you redeploy that money. Okay? That's the plan. So far, since I've been involved, he has not recommended to sell any of the packages that I've been in. Okay? It may never happen. It may happen. We may just get monthly revenue for the next 25, 50, 75 years and never sell. I don't know how it's going to play out. Okay? Continuing on, some other pros to both investments. With the oil drilling investment, every dollar you invest, potentially, is a tax write-off. Okay? The first year I made the big investment, I got the largest write-off. And then it was like an 82% write-off from my initial investment. Okay? So if I put $100 in, that means $82 was deducted. At that time, I was barely getting any revenue, and I had sold a triplex in that year, 2021. And if I had not had this investment, I would have had a big tax bill. I got money back. Not a lot, but I got some money back because of that oil drilling write-off. I just got in my K1 for the oil drilling thing. I will be able to write off the majority of the revenue I got in this year. Not 100% of it, and I don't know what the percentage is just yet. I didn't calculate, but I'll be able to write off the majority of the revenue I got in for the oil drilling this year. Okay? Now with the mineral rights, this is my first year, in 2022 was my first year of getting revenue in for the mineral rights that wasn't in my self-directed IRA. That's non-taxable. Okay? So with the mineral rights, what it is it's a 15% write-off. So you make $100 profit, you're paying tax on $85 because you're writing off 15%. So you're not taxed on the entire amount. Okay, you get to write some off. Okay, does that make sense to you? Both investments, they're risky. Every investment is risky. Energy investing, we are living in a society that is addicted to oil and natural gas. You might hear politicians talk about we got to go green. I agree. We do have to go green. But it's not happening. It's just not happening yet. It will happen. But even if we go 100% electric cars, we will still, this country uses something like, and I'll get this number wrong, 20 billion barrels of oil a month. Something like that. And if 100% of vehicles, 100%, everything, tractor trailers, cars, buses, everything, went totally electric. Okay, first of all, how many years will that take? It's going to take a long time. But if it does, we're still going to be using something like 10 to 12 billion barrels of oil. In the United States of America, currently, we are producing 10, 12 billion barrels of oil a month, or a day, week, whatever that time period is. Okay. The projection of if we eliminate electric vehicles, that means we do not have to buy oil from outside sources such as our enemies that we have perhaps over in the Middle East, or even Russia. We have been getting Russia oil up until last year or something. Okay, so we are producing enough oil just in the United States that we can, especially if we get rid of cars, we have enough to support ourselves. If they opened up more land for drilling, we could produce all the oil that we need in the United States and not have to go outside of this country. Okay? It's all political. All right? So, anyway, if you think, oh no, we're going to go green and I'll lose my money in 2 years, 3 years, my humble opinion is not going to happen that fast. Okay? My humble opinion, if you buy one of these things and they start giving you monthly revenue and it trickles on out for 50 years, my guess in 50 years is you're still getting that revenue because they're still using the oil out there or the natural gas. Okay, that's just my thoughts. Okay, I know this is getting long. Thanks for watching if you stuck it out. So with that being said, try to incorporate drinking green tea into your life. Try to incorporating eating more plants, vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, seeds, and mushrooms. That's fungi into your life because it's going to make you healthier. All right. If you can get up to 30 plants in a week, you're heading in the right direction and you will see improvements in your health. So that being said, have a great day. Ask below if you got any questions. And Mazske is signing out.